It's just y'all. Welcome in to episode 60 of the W podcast. There it is, episode 60 of the Dumb podcast. It's your boys back at it again, your favorite Saturday brunch bunch, bringing this pre-Halloween edition. I was going to come on the podcast dressed up. We see Hollow Man up there in the upper right-hand corner. Jason, the invisible man of podcasting, not the invisible hand, biting off Don Callis's gimmick. I was gonna come dressed up this morning, you know, Halloween's tomorrow and everything else. But then I put my pit stuff on. I'm like, I am dressed up for Halloween. I'm a pit fan, and that can go many directions. So we will see as my name tag for the day goes, and as it was last week, is Pit going to pit because but today's another test for them to see if they're truly a different team this year or if they're the typical Pit team that breaks so many hearts over the years when they have a glimmer of hope of being good. So with all that being said, gentlemen, how we doing? We good? We are live, the three amigos here, the Oreo cookie of the podcast, as you will. Chris is off today, so he took his Brock Lesnar contract day. Who did Jens talk to get these Brock Lesnar days? Donald takes a Brock Lesnar day. Jay takes a Brock Lesnar day. Chris is taking a Brock Lesnar day. And I'm just over here like the tribal chief of the podcast. I'm over here grinding, showing up week after week after week, putting out good quality content to the people that follow along for this show. I got to rework my contract when time comes. This is ridiculous. But how you doing? Everybody good?
Week's been good.
Yeah.
Donald,
Donald, I saw you and Chris went live last night and broke down the new James Bond movie, our first Dumb Marks movie review. How'd that go? Everything went good with it?
Yeah, it went good. Had to get stuff off my chest. You know, I did. So I feel good now.
Festivus is next month when we do the airing of grievances episode. Yeah, like let's go.
Had to get some stuff off, and I felt good. You know, could get a little more off, but you know, I had to take that to Hollywood though.
There you go.
Are you saying it's something to wait for HBO to watch?
HBO? That's more like TBS.
Really? That's
no.
Hey, I chimed in last night on a part while Yins were live, just to poke a little fun because I know the Bond comments get Chris riled up, so decided to jump on and poke the bear a little bit, as they say. But yeah, I've never seen a James Bond movie from start to finish, so I'm completely out of the loop.
I've seen all the Brosnans and all the Daniel Craigs. That's it.
Yeah. So, all right. With that being said, what do you guys want to jump into in the intro here? I guess since we talked about you guys reviewing the Bond part or the Bond movie, let me get the article pulled up here real quick. Where's it at? So Disney came out this week and revealed that they've pushed back delays for some movies here. I guess based off of COVID, scheduling, pandemic, the whole 9 yards, they've delayed movies once again here. So Black Panther, Wakanda Forever goes from July. Let me scroll up here. Doctor Strange went from March 25th of next year to May 6th. Thor: Love and Thunder went from May 6th to July 8th. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever went from July 8th to November 11th. The Marvels went from November 11th to February 17th, 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania went from February 17th, 2023 to July 28th, 2023.
Wow.
So even though they've put out Shang-Chi, you know, they've released Black Widow after, you know, basically a year and a half of delays. That came out. Shang-Chi came out, but it looks like they're pushing back Phase 4 again. So not sure how that's going to impact the audience, you know, but Marvel from a movie standpoint isn't going to be as well. It'll still be heavy. There'll still be movies, but you'll just get them a year, pushed back 4-6 months, so to speak.
I saw one person comment on social media saying they pushed everything back because that Batman trailer came out. And they said they got scared of it because Batman come out in March and they were like, they don't want no parts of Batman. Like Doctor Strange don't want no part of that. I was like, yeah, right. Okay.
You think the Eternals had anything to play into it?
See, I don't know because, and I had this discussion with my cousins this week, and they're big into the comics and know all the storylines and have been reading comics for years, so they're more in depth than I am when it comes to some of these outside the main stage characters that we're going to start to get in some of these movies, right? And I brought up the point. So Eternals, whether you've followed along this week or whatnot, but reviews have come out and it's been pretty bad from reviews. It's the lowest rated Marvel movie ever, beating Thor: The Dark World. So take that for what you will. I brought up the point with this, with all the hype around Eternals, as far as it being very integral and very key to the new Phase 4 and setting things up, answering some of the questions from the previous phase, as well as basically kickstarting everything, although Shang-Chi did some of that itself. But mainstream people that don't read the comics aren't familiar with these characters.
Yeah.
So me personally, I'm not as familiar with these characters as I am with the other characters in the Marvel universe. I was more excited for the movie because based off of the trailers, I thought it was shot like cinematography wise and everything else way different than anything Marvel's ever done. So I was excited for it from that standpoint, to see a different take on a Marvel movie than just your typical standard superhero villain movie and how it's shot and everything else. So I was excited from that standpoint, and then I was going to use the movie as a way to get me to go back and read the comics to get me more invested in the characters. Now you could say that's probably stupid because the movie may be complete trash, like it's been rated, and it's not going to get you to go back, but I'm not going to read however many comics leading up to the movie. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather do the legwork after the movie than do all the legwork before and be disappointed because I know how the comics were. So I'm still going into it with some optimism. I'm not going to let reviews taint my perception of the movie. Like I'll still go in and watch it. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys think as far as like some of these outskirt characters that are going to be getting shows and movies and how that's going to impact audience viewership.
I think they should have had some like introductions earlier on, so you at least get to know like
at least one of them.
Yeah,
at least one. Yeah, and you could tell it's rough because the toys, like their merch, toy wise, is not selling at all. That stuff
wasn't either.
That stuff is still on the shelf.
Like if you ain't the Cap, Iron Man, Thor,
on
the shelf.
But I mean, look, you're talking like what 30, 40, 50 years of seeing Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, like
all of
those Spider-Man, like those were pushed because I mean, whether rightfully so, but you know what I mean, we're familiar with all of them. So like getting Shang-Chi and the Eternals, the Marvels, like these other characters that people that aren't diehard comic book readers,
they're newer.
It's gonna be interesting to see. So, but yeah, I just found got delays, got pushbacks. Hopefully they stick to this timeline, but we'll see. That's all I have from TV and entertainment wise.
I have two things for TV, animes actually. Anime fans, Demon Slayer season 2. I know a lot of people watch Demon Slayer. Season 2 comes out December 5th, and it's going to be the Entertainment District arc. So So I know you two don't really watch anime or like that, but they talking about this arc is like one of the best arcs that ever existed in anime. And also Attack on Titan season 4 part 2. They finally put a release date on that, and that comes out January 9th. So I know Attack on Titan was like the second coming to like Dragon Ball Z as like one of the best animes out, and one I got hooked on a couple months ago. So yeah, that's going to be the last part of it, and Attack on Titan will be finished.
So my son and daughter both watch anime, so I'll see if either one of them know of those two or watch those two, or you know what I mean, like. But yeah, I mean, anime, like, that's the craze nowadays. You know what I mean? So like,
skip me.
It skipped me too. I mean, but Zion Williamson showed up with an anime suit on the other day at the Pelicans game. So like,
had an homage to like every character almost, close to every big time character.
So it's definitely that, you know, that his, I would say probably around his generation and younger, where like the anime boom really took off. I'm not saying that people older than him don't watch it. I know for us, like Dragon Ball Z, Donald, like you said, was the big to do. I never got into Dragon Ball Z like consistently. I've watched episodes here and there, but I couldn't tell you storyline or anything like that. So yeah.
And then I just have two things on gaming. Wednesday was PlayStation State of Play, and it was one of the worst State of Plays I've ever watched. I mean, I got so bored with it, I cut it off. I had to. Like none of the games were good. I mean, it was all third party stuff, but it wasn't third party stuff everybody was looking for. Like this was like low tier indie games. Like they could have just showed trailers for, just put out demos that people would like. I think the only
reason to drop systems. That's all.
I think the only one that I enjoyed was the King of Fighters 15, and that's just like another Street Fighter. I was shocked when the trailer came up. Yeah, 15. Then they had the new Five Nights at Freddy up there too. So you're not in the control room anymore. You're out in the mall, and animals are chasing you. And from that point on, I was like, click.
Yeah, never. My kids didn't get into the whole Five Nights at Freddy craze whenever that came out a couple years ago.
No,
but I know, but a couple of my buddies' kids, they were super into it, and I just, never got invested in that.
Yeah, it was bad overall. And the second thing I had, the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack was released, and from what they said it was a hot mess on the N64 side, because you could play online with each other on like with the Star Fox and Mario Kart and that stuff. They said the connectivity to playing with your friends is terrible. Everybody have to have like 100% perfect connectivity. If one person like drops to 90 or something like that, the whole game gets cut off. They said there's the like lag all in it and everything. They showed a video of the Ocarina of Time like side by side with the N64 system version and the Switch version, and you could see like the lag of time between Link's backflips. The graphics were like compressed to make it worse than the N64.
Why?
So it's a
why does Nintendo get this so wrong? Like, how do they? I mean, like, you know, you were the original, right? The OG of it, right?
And you have nothing to worry about but you.
Yeah, like
you don't care about nobody else.
Right? Like, Nintendo's gonna be Nintendo, right? Like that, you know, like. So how, I don't understand with that stuff being said, like, did you roll this out and you get it so wrong to where like that's kind of why Nintendo fell off, right? Like,
yeah, because they didn't believe in the online stuff whenever Game Pass and PSN came out. They were like, oh no, we don't do that stuff.
And I mean, like, even like when you go back and you look at the Wii, when the Wii first came out, like that was supposed to be like the next big thing, right?
Yeah, the motion control.
Yeah, the motion control and everything else. And then like you had a couple things that took off from the Wii, but other than that, the Wii was forgotten about. Like everybody moved on to Xbox and PlayStation, and they've been the two top dogs forever. So like, I mean, you see when the Switch came out and you know it was what it was, and people got excited for Nintendo again. It was like, okay, Nintendo's back in the game, and now you know they're dipping their toes into this, and it's just a complete cluster. And I just don't understand how you could be Nintendo and get it that wrong.
And they said too that their online team is working with Microsoft. So if you're working with Microsoft, how are you getting this all wrong? You know, to build up your online, you know, base.
Oh, that's Microsoft's like the guy that'll tell his boy, "Yo, I'll help you get the girl," but then that's Microsoft in this picture, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll be your wingman. Yeah, I'll definitely no, I got you. I'll feed you lines and everything else. Meanwhile, Microsoft's working on their own stuff on the side, and they end up taking the girl. Like,
they're trying to buy Nintendo all together. That's what they're trying to do. But they said it. Yeah, but they said it's a big mess. They said some games play and they don't even have sound on them.
You have to get this fixed before you roll out that next gen system that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to. This has to be on par with Xbox and PlayStation from that standpoint, or else that next gen system that they roll out, whether it's an updated version of the Switch or it's an actual next gen system. But either way, if you don't have this fixed, that's not going to sell.
You might as well call it a Tiger handheld. Might as well call it a Tiger handheld. But that's all I have for gaming.
All right, Jay, you got anything before we get into Smash or Trash for this week?
Nah, we can roll right into that. Oh, John Wick. There's a John Wick spinoff, female version called Ballerina.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the girl from Bond?
Yes, it's the girl from Bond. They only highlight. So, yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Keep her coming. Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen John Wick?
Yeah, I've watched all of them except for.
Okay.
But we're on they're getting ready to release 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
4. Yeah.
I've seen the first 2 and I've seen parts of 3. I got to go back and rewatch the third one in its entirety. But those movies to me are something that you like whenever they're on, not just keep them on and watch. Like,
yeah,
you know, from that standpoint. But before you get into Smash or Trash, this has a tie into Smash or Trash. But there was a new restaurant that opened up this week in Swissvale. It's called Smashed Waffles. And it debuted here. Yeah. It debuted this week. Well, they say Swissvale Regent Square up there in that area. Mm-hmm. But they're North Carolina based. And it says, unlike traditional batter-based waffles, smashed waffles are rolled into dough balls and then smashed in a cast iron waffle press. They are then baked to ensure a caramelized outer shell and a fluffy interior. So I think we need to do a Dumb Marks Roadshow and go to Smash Waffles and give a live taste test review of Smash Waffles.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in for it.
They're already talking about expanding into Oakland in 2022. So like
that'll be perfect for them. Right where the hospitals and the university is. Perfect.
Right. So yeah, they don't. Besides, like how they make the waffles themselves, the article didn't go into anything else as far as like flavors or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, so new little spot to go check out for the chubby kids here. So if you're out and about in the Regent Square area, stop in, get a smashed waffle, hit us up on social media, and let us know what you think of the spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then with that being said, let's get into actual Smash or Trash this week. I don't know how many we got this week, but
we got quite a few.
We'll run through the list here. Yo, what are you doing? Wait. Stop. So I know you got on the green suit, right?
Yes.
You have what looks to be a Pop-Tart in your hand.
It's a Pop-Tart wrapper.
Okay.
You can't.
Are you using the wrapper to screen on your phone?
You can't. Yeah, you can't. See, that's a fat kid fine. You know these things. It's sensitive to your phone, so you can scroll with your candy bar wrapper, Pop-Tart wrapper.
Did we have this issue? Did we have this issue last year with this wrapper?
Yeah, this is Rappergate 2.0. This dude coming in.
This serves a purpose.
Yeah, it's gonna scratch the shit out of your screen.
And it's scratching my ears.
Come on, DJ Rec. Let's run through this list.
So for Smash or Trash, we have Sugar Cookie Toast Crunch Mini Treats.
Smash.
All right. We have Oreos bringing back out gingerbread Oreos.
Trash.
Smash. We have cinnamon roll flavored syrup.
Smash.
I don't think you could ever.
So I get cinnamon roll flavored syrup on my pancakes, on my waffles.
We have Oreo flavored Smart Pop popcorn.
Smash.
Trash.
Sour Patch Kids popcorn.
Smash.
Trash.
Okay. We have frozen, ready to eat Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Trash.
Smash.
Can't have a frozen. You can't go frozen Cheddar Bay biscuit. Like, come on now, dude.
And we have from Archie McPhee, we have hot dog flavored candy canes.
Trash.
Sour cream and onion flavored candy canes.
Trash. Stop. Don't even read the rest of the list.
Flavored candy
Sardine? Nah,
Sardine.
That's not real life.
Hey, this is what Chris sent me.
That candy cane.
And he gave it a thumb up.
That's trash. Ooh. Hot dog water?
Hot dog flavored.
No.
Yeah, hot dog water. Like those.
This one of them
it's hot dog water.
No.
Listen, we can't continue to do this as a people, okay? Like we
make anything.
Yeah, and I know the hot dog flavored sardine flavor. Like I know that was a white guy up there in the advertising talking about, yeah, we'll do this and they'll love it and they'll buy it. Like stop with that. Stop.
It's like a novelty spot. He sells a bunch of weird different stuff, so it's a niche.
Oh God.
It's not going to catch on nationwide.
Yo, we might instead of doing a hot chip challenge, we might do the sardine candy cane challenge to see who can keep it in their mouth the longest without spitting it out.
I think I've had.
I think that's what we're gonna do. Since Chris wanted to put the thumbs up, no, you're part of the show. It's written in your contract. You don't get the. No, you already took your Lesnar day.
You took your Lesnar day.
I'm not even gonna refer them as days off anymore. They're just gonna be Lesnar days. I'm taking a Lesnar day.
Take your contract and show up once, and that'll be the day. You guys like sorry.
That's how I'm gonna enter my time to my boss. I'm taking a Lesnar day. Jeez, oh man, is that it? Like you completely ruined me.
Trash.
All right,
all
right. Get into Bell to Bell. All right. Bell to Bell this week. Interesting world that we're in pro wrestling right now.
Yes.
So I don't know. ROH obviously is a big topic that we can get into. I don't know if you guys want to cover that first or you want to save that for the end when we can, I don't want to say deep dive into it, but
we can gloss over everything and then get into that.
All right.
Not over, but touch on.
That's fine. So then let's go back to Bound for Glory this past Saturday. I watched it, really enjoyed it. Good matches, great work. Shout out to Mickie James for winning her 10th knockout / women / WWE championship. So she's a 10-time double digit champ. They surprised me with that victory there. I believe on my predictions for the show, I went 7-1. Not to Barry Horowitz myself, but I'll pat myself on the back there. But what I wanted to talk about, the swerve. Let's talk about the swerve, the end of the pay-per-view. Christian Cage, Josh Alexander go out there, have a hell of a match. Great storytelling. It's really hard to go babyface versus babyface and actually get people to buy in and be invested for the whole match. But them two went out there and went at it. Really enjoyed the match. Josh Alexander wins his first major national championship. Wife and son come in the ring. They're celebrating. And probably the most hated man in pro wrestling right now. At least he was Saturday night. Moose comes out, cashes in his call your shot contract that he won earlier in the night. Spear, 1, 2, 3. Moose is your new Impact World Heavyweight Champion. What'd you guys think of the finish to Bound for Glory?
Nah, I didn't like it.
No.
Nah, I really want to see Alexander with the title run for it for a good bit.
So right, pause right there. Both of you are shaking your head. No, you didn't like it. You wanted to see Alexander, this and that. So didn't they accomplish what they were set out to do by having him do that?
He won the title and he had it for what? 2 minutes?
No, but I'm saying, like, the heat that Moose got from doing that, from taking that moment away from him, having the wife and son in the ring, to where you guys are shitting on it because you wanted to see Alexander with the belt. Isn't that mission accomplished then?
Oh, no shitting. Just I didn't agree with it.
Yeah, they did what they had to do.
I mean, you can argue whether or not you agree with it. Like, was it the right thing to do? Yay or nay? We would, all three of us would say nay because all three of us wanted to see Alexander with the belt, right? And actually have a run based off of the year that he had. But when you factor in everything that he's done over this year in the X division, for him to climb that mountain, get that win, have a passing of the torch moment, a la, legend, as Donald likes to call him, handing him the belt, gracefully leaving the ring, having all that ruined by the wrestling god of pro wrestling, as he likes to call himself. I mean, to me, I thought it was well done to get the heat that you wanted from doing that type of swerve. Like, I thought everybody played their parts perfectly. I don't agree with it. Like you guys, I'd rather see Alexander with the belt. But for them going in this direction and have Josh chase Moose, again, babyface chasing the heel is much better than the heel chasing the babyface, right?
Yeah, because it's more like set up like a Daniel Bryan situation, like to that point.
Right. So, like, and I said this on a prediction show, like, I thought they would have already put in the title on Moose. You know, like I thought he was going to beat Rich Swann back when Rich Swann had it before he lost to Kenny Omega. Like that, I thought Moose should have already had the belt based off of the time that he's been in Impact and what he's done. But I mean, the way they pulled it off on Saturday, like I was pissed, like you guys, because I wanted to see Alexander get it. But at the same time, I'm over here clapping my hands like, hey, mission accomplished, you guys. It served its purpose for what you guys wanted it to do.
It's good for the promotion because it keeps the title within the promotion, which they should. So, yeah, kudos to them for doing that. It's just the wrestling, damn it, it's still real to me. And me was like, come on, man. Got to give Alexander the run.
What'd you think of Moose's promo on Thursday night?
Trash.
You didn't like it?
No.
It seems like that's what everybody's doing now, just taking shots at every company.
I see so many people love it for just that. Yeah. But to me, there's an element of like you got to have like total delivery and everything, all that. Look, I can sing I Believe the Children of the Future, but for me, it's trash. It's not Whitney Houston. It's not going to come the same. It's all about delivery.
I get that. The wording of the promo, I loved. Like the way
wording, Oh, when you read it, it was like
When I read it, and this is the one knock on Impact. I'll say after I make this point. When I read it, I was like, oh, this is tremendous. Like, I don't know who wrote that. I don't know if Moose did that himself. I don't know if that was.
They say it wasn't him. They said it was Adam Cole.
Yeah, I don't know, Scott D'Amore. I don't know who it was, but reading that, I was like, this is beautiful. This is perfect. Like, calling every major champion out without actually calling every major champion out.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing him deliver it, like you said, it's just like
I seen the words, and when I seen the steel, I was just like, I know this is going to be not as fire as I read.
And I guess that's been the biggest knock on Moose, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's his promos, his delivery.
Yeah, his delivery.
How he comes across. So, like, yeah, I was, But to harken back to my point that I was going to make, like, I had to find that on social media. And this goes back to Chris's point. Like, you have a hell of a pay-per-view with a great finish that has people talking and buzzing about your promotion, and it comes time for your weekly show and nobody can watch it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm following along on Twitter, getting updates and everything else for your show whenever I should be tuned in and watching that.
Yeah.
Especially after the way that pay-per-view ended.
Yes. Just something that they have to work out. Like, you have to put it on TV. Yeah.
You gave I don't want to call it a cliffhanger because it wasn't a cliffhanger, but you left the people into a point where they had to tune in on Thursday to see, what the ramifications were going to be. Was Alexander going to go after Moose? Like, you had the spot there to get people to tune in, to have a bump in viewership, and yet you couldn't capitalize on it because your products on Fight or on Access TV
missing. Yeah.
So it's missing, which we can get into that being one of the things that kind of led to the downfall of ROH. But yeah,
so they're off Twitch for good.
Off Twitch completely. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how I was watching them.
Okay.
From time to time.
That's how I was tuning in too every week. I was watching them on Twitch, and that ended sometime around the summer, I believe, if I remember correctly. So yeah. So I mean, yeah, we talked about it last week. Like, if you're paying for all these streaming services, is Fight going to make the cut? Whenever I'm paying for everything else, other bills, kids, like, you start adding all that in, and it may only be $5 or $7 a month, but then it's like, all right, well, am I really going to pay, $5-10 a month just to watch
one show?
One show.
Fight needs to see if they can get on somebody else's package.
But they're trying to build Fight, and they're doing a good job of adding stuff to it, but it's not to the point where I want to jump in and do it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you get UFC right now, I got the UFC on ESPN Plus right now. It's free, UFC 267. So if you have Disney Plus, you can watch the pay-per-view today. The prelims are on now. The pay-per-view starts at 2. But if UFC were to jump over to Fight, then that would be something where I could justify paying the monthly fee, because I'm getting all the UFCs, all the fight nights, the pay-per-views, plus I can watch Impact, I can watch NWA, whatever else may be on there. Like, but until you have something that's going to be a big fish, I'm not going to pay to watch something in a small pond.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Now, when they do the pay-per-views, are those separate
for Impact,
for the Fight,
for UFC?
No, for
Impact. On Fight.
Yeah,
on Fight, the pay-per-views it's $40.
Okay.
So you pay the subscription to watch the weekly show, and then you got to pay the $40 for the pay-per-view. It's not like you get the pay-per-view for free.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which you can still get it through the cable pay-per-view also too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just like AEW, you can still buy it via regular pay-per-view. So, but yeah, so that was my biggest disappointment from outside of ROH news this week. But
yeah,
you had the potential to cash in on viewership, ending it the way you ended it, and then it failed because You don't have the platform to have your product out there in front of more than, I think Access is only in like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 homes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get a big bump, which is a shame. So that was this past weekend. Monday, Raw. I sent over in the group chat. I brought up the Raw. I called it the Raw algorithm. And this is Jay. This is Don. You can chime in on this, but I wanted to get Jay's thoughts on this because he's such the WWE, staunch stan. Look, his heart is a WWE Championship belt. It's grown 3 sizes since we started this podcast. A la the Grinch.
We need to get a picture of that and put it on the webpage.
So this week, I sent over in a group chat for the show. I said the Raw algorithm, and to me, you had to reset for the rosters, right? New season premiere, new people coming over, and it's new faces, same thing. And what I meant by the Raw algorithm was they didn't change the show at all. So like production-wise, nothing was changed. The way you go into commercial breaks, in and out of breaks, nothing changed. When you take your commercial breaks, it's the same time damn near every single week. Like everything's the same. And all you're doing is moving wrestler A over to SmackDown and replacing them with wrestler B. Not that A is better than B, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to change up the algorithm, let me see some other stuff. Don't be Google where you're tapping me at a max of what I can see. You know what I mean? Like don't be Instagram, Facebook, a la Meta, whatever we get into that and later on in the show. But change the algorithm. Let me see something different. I may be more of a fan and want to tune in. I'm taking storylines and I'm taking matches out of it. I'm just looking at it strictly. This week, I tuned in, and as I'm watching it, like that's the thought that I'm getting.
You felt it was the exact same thing. Just
the same. Yeah, it's just wrestler A and for wrestler B. Like if you change up that algorithm, it may be a more entertaining show.
Mm-hmm.
Then I may give your storylines more of a chance.
They used to do that. Remember, they used to change like everything, the set. The presentation and all that stuff. Yeah, for both shows, they used to do that. I didn't watch Raw again, so I'm not sure.
Set wise, it is what it is. They do a bunch of the LED graphic stuff and everything else. I'm fine with all that, right? But yeah, like don't come out and have talking segment till 8:13.
Yeah,
break. Come back. An introduction, a 2-minute match, a backstage interview, an introduction, commercial break. Like it's that every single week.
Mm-hmm.
And like to me, you gotta switch that up. Which if you look at AEW, like they don't start the show the same way every week. Sometimes guys are already in the ring. Sometimes it's an interview. Sometimes it's Punk coming out, doing his lap around the ring, and then going to sit on commentary. Like they do different things, so it feels different each week because they're not doing the same algorithm all the time. And because Raw has been around for so long, like complacency with the production, with the algorithms, we change it up. Like if you want to get into breaking down segments from the show and what we thought about it, we can certainly do that. But my biggest takeaway from this week with them was they got to change the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
If you change the algorithm, maybe you can get people to not bitch about the show so much. I was arguing it on Twitter. Some dude was tweeting at us. I was tweeting stuff out that I'm hate watching Raw. And I'm like, how am I hate watching Raw? I'm like, I can't be critical of the product. If I'm watching the Steelers and they're playing like shit, and I say, yo, they're playing like shit, that's me hate watching the Steelers? No, that's me calling out them playing like shit. Like
you can't hate watching the Steelers. You're watching the Steelers, so you're giving your attention to them.
They're like, oh, just enjoy it, just watch it and enjoy it and be entertained. And I'm like, but if you're not doing stuff to entertain me, I can't be critical of that. Like,
yeah.
But no, that was my biggest segue, was change the algorithm.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
I think he was tweeting Jason Monday. That was him.
You go back and forth quick. Stop it.
That was his burner account.
Like I don't need to get on here. Like I don't need to bash Keith Lee coming out with a fake Bearcat growl or whatever in his entrance music, or the generic Carmella entrance music that killed one of the better entrance themes that we've had. Like Sami Zayn's generic entrance music. Like whoever's doing their music sucks nowadays. Like hire Mike Johnston back, dude, because this shit is garbage.
Or the CFOs, whatever they were in NXT, they were.
Does anybody have words anymore?
I don't even know.
That's money. That's money. Lyrics is too much now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, change the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
For me, if you change the algorithm, I'll tune in more. And then maybe
like the whole tag division, they brought the same. They gave you a different match, but they brought the same storyline over.
That's what I'm saying. It's just adjusting. Like they advertise AJ and Almost versus Riddle and Randy Orton. So they advertised the same match that we've seen since August.
Mm-hmm.
And then they quote unquote swerved us and gave us the contenders match and everything else. But again, it's just moving and you know what I mean? Like
said Bianca and Becky went from Fridays to Mondays.
Yeah, so like I mean, you could almost go through and I can tell you what time, what segment's going to be an interview, what segment's going to be backstage. Like you can break it down because it's just that formulaic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Switch it up. That's all I'm asking for. I switch it up, and then I'll tune in more to go with your storylines and your matches. But give me a different presentation.
I agree.
You know. And can we please, for the love of God, in WWE across the board, please stop these number one contendership matches against the champion.
Wasn't number one contenders. It's a contenders match.
You're still facing the champion to get a contender to be named the champion.
See, I don't mind this now because you're giving the champion a match that has a purpose. At least the champion's having a match, and if that person they're in the running.
I saw Rampage had that just last night with Britt and Abaddon. It was the same thing.
You get to see Shotzi show her talents against Charlotte, which you probably wouldn't see. Or if they just threw them together, you'd think it was just a jobber match.
But my thing and the Shotzi and Charlotte thing was to set up Shotzi turning heel. So it wasn't even that the build there was for her to go heel, which was the rumor to be, and that's how they decided to set it up. So,
but now she's still in the picture though.
But you're not gonna have heel versus heel. You know what I mean? Like
I get you.
So you have her and Sasha. Well, okay,
Sasha turned face like that too.
That's that. Yeah, I mean, essentially, it was a double turn last night when you think about it. But no, this goes back to the comment Lesnar made, and I forget when he said it. Maybe a couple years ago or more recently. I can't remember, but I think I brought this up. I think I brought this up on the show before too. But
a month ago.
Yeah, if you beat the champion, shouldn't that make you champion? Like, there's no point in having the champion lose and then fight the same person again for the belt, making the champions look weak.
But then what's the point of having the champion fight then at all?
You can have the champion wrestle, but don't have the champion be the one in the contender match.
Don't have him what?
Don't have him in that contenders match.
Don't have the champion in the contenders match. Like, I don't need person A to beat the champion to be considered the number one contender.
But who has won that contenders match?
Well, that's another problem.
Like, it's just a name to have on a match.
I know, but you don't need to. You don't need to
call it.
You don't need to label. Yeah, you don't need to label it. Contendership match, whatever they label it as.
So if you have the champ fight a regular match and they lose, where's that person at? In anywhere.
But that's the point. Like the champion, unless you're in a feud, and you can run a feud for however many matches you decide to run it for. But in order to get to the feud, don't have the champion lose to be the one that starts the feud. And if the champion is wrestling in a non-title match, the champion shouldn't be losing. How many times did Moxley wrestle non-title whenever he held the belt? Did he lose any of those matches?
No.
So, like,
but then has anybody lost any of these matches?
I'd have to go back and look.
They just put the name on.
There were times when
Priest.
When Priest beat Sheamus and then he got into it. Like they did that a lot with the US. Nakamura beating Apollo Crews and then beating him for the Intercontinental title. You just saw it with Happy Corbin and Nakamura on the season debut 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That won a tag match?
No, yesterday was a tag.
Yesterday was the tag. The week before was the one-on-one with Corbin winning. So, like, yeah, you see it. They've had people win these matches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're going to put those two people in a feud for the championship, whether it's a one-off or they have a series of matches like Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns did. Kevin Owens doesn't beat Roman Reigns to become the number one contender because then that makes Roman Reigns look weak. Like, you can have your champion wrestle on a show, but if it's a non-title match, they shouldn't be losing any of those matches. You don't have the UFC champion fighting the number one contender for the number one contender to become the number one contender. You have the number one contender.
But champions lose regular matches all the time, unless you're like super strong. Unless you're like the John Cena,
unless they're in a tag match. Tag match, they ain't taking the pin.
That's different. But to me, a champion shouldn't lose until it's time for them to drop the belt. Your champion should look strong. If Shotzi would have beat Charlotte with a roll up last night, doesn't that make Charlotte look weaker because she lost to Shotzi?
Not a roll up. If she'd have put her in her finishing move and did all that, yeah. Not a roll up.
Man, a roll up is the go-to. That's official.
The roll up is the surprise.
A roll up's a finisher now.
I'm just saying, I don't know who in WWE came up with that idea because it's only been recent. It's only been since the pandemic that they started doing it. So you've been around for 40 years, and now all of a sudden this is how you build a number one contender. To me, it's just lazy booking. There's other ways to get the people to facing off with the champion instead of challenging the champion, beating them, and then be named the number one contender. Well, NXT Tuesday night, Halloween Havoc. I was super disappointed in the set itself. The arena, it didn't feel Halloween Havoc-esque.
No, I don't think you do much with that.
No.
Well, they did way more last year.
Well, you had the CWC. You had all that extra. I mean,
this stuff now feels too open for it. Like in Halloween Havoc, it got to be confined.
Yeah,
but Okay, I can buy that based on how they have the 2.0 set up. I can buy that. But then you can do stuff with the lighting.
True.
Make it darker. Have orange light in the background instead of the pink. Like, don't have the bright neon colors on your ring apron with the blues and the oranges and the greens and all that as the pumpkins and everything else. Like, you can do different things, even though it's the open arena feel. You can do different things to make it come across as being Halloween-esque.
They should have bought the black mat back, the black rope, something. Apron with the orange pumpkin, just one orange generic pumpkin would have did good.
So yeah, my big takeaway from the show, well, I had two of them. I thought Breaker and Ciampa was good.
Yeah.
Breaker, they made the smart move by keeping the belt on Ciampa, but
yes,
as Bully Ray likes to say, Ciampa went over and Breaker got over.
Yes.
So he's now viewed as being on the same level. He's not just a newcomer after that match. So that's my takeaway there. The big thing that I wanted to get into, and congratulations to Toxic Attraction, fulfilling the golden prophecy, walking away with all the gold. That ladder match, man. You gotta know your personnel and you gotta know your people. And with the inexperience that was in that ring,
a lot of it,
you should not have been doing the bumps that they were doing. It's too high risk of a match to where there's too many potential spots for permanent injury. Like, I thought you should have limited the amount of spots in that match.
I didn't see too many bad ones.
Tony,
like bad, impact wise, other than what
Zoe Stark twice. She did the step off the ladder onto the rope onto the floor, which looked like she busted up her knee, and then the whatever 450 or whatever.
She just landed that wrong. She landed on her feet.
Yeah, she could have shattered both her legs on that.
Yeah, could have blew everything out.
And then Io's bump, like that was, I don't know if that was poor placement if they didn't place the ladder right or if she fell off the ladder wrong.
That wasn't necessary.
She was inches away from breaking her neck.
Yeah.
And I don't know how she didn't end up, being seriously hurt there.
That wasn't necessary.
Yeah, to me, I was more uncomfortable watching the match instead of enjoying the match for it being a ladder match. And to me, you don't want your viewer to be uncomfortable watching something. I was more worried about the women hurting themselves than watching it for it being a good entertaining match.
I only had that feeling about the JC, the one who injured herself 2 weeks prior.
Yeah. And she didn't do a whole lot.
She didn't do a whole lot.
No, not at all.
But I mean, Indy's tag team partner, she's greener. I forget her name.
Yeah, she didn't do much either.
But like, it's just, to me, there was, you could have taken some of those out, and it would have been a better match, because then the ladder spots that you do have mean more. You know what I mean? To me, this was a match where less was more.
Did Raw take away from it at all, in your eyes?
I didn't go into NXT with the women's ladder match
thinking about
with the expectations about the men's from Raw. And the men's from Raw was a good match.
Yeah. To me, it was just like seeing another ladder match.
Yeah, it's odd that they booked it that way. I don't know why they decided to do that. Because the NXT ladder match was set up the week before, so you knew that was already on the docket. But yeah, I didn't go into it with those expectations, but at the same time, like, it was more of an uncomfortable feeling watching that than being entertained by it. So, all right. Anything else from NXT 2.0 for you guys?
No. Not at all.
All right, Wednesday Night Dynamite. Before we get into B Rabbit himself, aka Cody Rhodes, doing the Clarence, calling out everything that the fans were going to say about him. Actually, fuck it. Let's get into it right now. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people on Twitter and on the internet were calling it, a la Cena promo, where I'm not turning heel no matter what. We'll see how all that plays out. Some people believe Cody's just trolling us for the eventual turn, but
you mean Mr. America, Luchadoro.
I enjoyed that. That's hilarious, by the way. Like, seeing him in that mask come out, that was good.
Big ass.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about on Dark Elevation, what was it? The Son of Fuego.
Yeah.
Fuego del Sol had a tag team partner this week. That was Cody Rhodes, but not Cody Rhodes. So, it's hilarious how they did it, and I thought that was tremendous. Like that's pro wrestling stuff that I can laugh at and be entertained by because it's so over the top stupid that it makes me laugh. But no, so going back to Wednesday, his promo. I like the fact that he got in the ring and he addressed every single thing that has been said about him or that's been out there this entire time.
I didn't mind that.
Calling it out and putting it out there on the table. You don't see that a lot in pro wrestling from wrestlers to that degree, where it's, I'm so self-aware. I see everything and I know what you guys are saying about me. So I'm going to lay all the cards out and I'm going to give you a counterpoint to everything that you're saying. But did it work?
Did he need to do it though?
See, my thing is with this, I don't know if it was the right time for that promo.
Okay.
Based on what they've told so far. Mm-hmm. Like Arn challenging him and, trying to get through his head where he's at versus where he needs to be at and everything else leading up to the Malachi 3 match. That was good. Having him, beat Malachi was what it was. I thought Malachi's explanation for the loss was tremendous. Like, it's not about you pinning my shoulders. That's not what I attempted to do with this. I don't care about beating you. I turned you into what you hate the most, and that's being booed by your fans. I've destroyed every fabric of you from a personal being. I'm ad-libbing there.
He's taking credit for that?
I'm ad-libbing
there. I think Cody did it himself.
Play with that. That's just like Bray Wyatt doing it with John Cena.
But on the internet, it was what it was. Mm-hmm. But until Malachi showed up and got in the ring with Cody, the boos were not evident like they were. Like it wasn't the flip in the audience. You still had Cody getting cheered.
Yeah.
So, like, from that standpoint, Malachi did what he set out to do. So then you get this promo Wednesday, and he's calling everybody out, and he's saying, I'll never turn. I love you guys. I'll stay true to myself and continue to be. Like, that was a little bit too much.
You're just foreshadowing the turn.
Maybe not. Cody's a huge Star Wars fan. So, like, I don't know enough about Star Wars to try to.
He called himself Anakin?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. So
I'm the good man. I'm the good guy, and y'all turned me into evil. You lied to me.
So, but no, I just thought maybe the promo might have been a little bit out of place. I like where they're going with him and Pac versus Andrade and Malachi. That to me will be at Full Gear. You get the singles match this coming week on Wednesday with Andrade and Cody. So I'm fine seeing those four get in the ring together. It got a huge pop for Pac. Mm-hmm. Like Pac came down to make that save, and the house, went crazy for him coming down. So yeah, I don't know. It just to me it felt a little misplaced in the story that's been told so far. Any other thoughts on it?
It is what it is. I like what he said. When I hooked his arms, I could have did a move that y'all wouldn't like. Because when he did it, I was like, this dude really going to do the pedigree.
He's like, I could have hit another move and then went on and challenged for the world title and abused my EVP status, but that's not me. I was like, damn, okay. Which is what everybody was saying about him. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So we got that promo. I enjoyed MJF's promo, just hilarious.
Yeah.
I can care less about the Inner Circle and America Top Team.
Oh, dude, that is terrible.
That'll be my bathroom break match at Full Gear.
Yeah, there's nothing about that story that interests me whatsoever.
But to me,
I turn it off. I turn it off when they talk.
To me, the thing that stole the show, and this circles back to our argument from last week, Jay, Deeb and Sheeta, TBS title tournament. You had, I mean, them two in the ring together are so good.
God,
like
they have chemistry. They do.
I mean, the match itself, it got time, it breathed, it told a great story. I love the viciousness that Deeb showed, came out.
You're giving me two champions.
So expand on that.
You're giving me two ex-champions.
Okay.
That are still in the show.
Okay.
You tell me when Becky and Sasha goes under so many times, under so many minutes, and doesn't have a stellar match. You tell me whenever Asuka and Bayley goes under so many minutes and doesn't have a stellar match. You give me two ex-champions. You can give them time to go and breathe and tell a story.
But the argument last week was, would they tournament versus tournament, right? Mm-hmm. Would how AEW books this tournament versus WWE doing Crown Jewel and the women involved and everything else. That one match alone was better than what they did the entire Queen's Crown.
But it's just a women's match.
But it gave you story to build up for the next round match. You had a banger of a match.
I'm worried about the match.
You have your baby face injured. Will she be able to compete against Nyla? How's she going to beat Nyla? What's she going to do? Can she even go? Will Nyla get a bye into the semifinal? Like, you have all that going in off of one match. There was none of that in the Queen's Crown at all. You had 3-minute matches that just gave you a winner and the person moving on. Mm-hmm. So off of one match, you have a way better tournament off of one match.
Have they done it across the board? Has every match been like this, or are they just giving you the match that's going to go all the way through?
Ruby and Ford was good on whatever they did, Rampage.
Did it tell you a story? Did it set you up for next week, or did it just give you a winner?
I'd have to go back and rewatch that match to see what they told and
what you're telling me is what you're telling me is it's going to be.
They had their. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What you're telling me is going to be Sheeta. If you're telling this much of a story off one match.
No, Ruby and Ford had more of a story going into their match. That was built up from
that's what I was saying. Previous, but going in against Statlander, no, there's nothing there.
Leading into her and Statlander, yes, there's no story for that next round match. The story going into it was them two, what happened previously, to seeing how they were who was gonna win based off of what happened previously. So you had intrigue and story going into a first round match where you saw the babyface go over the heel. So now you have babyface versus babyface in the next round. Then in the second match, you had Sheeta and Deeb tell this story, and they've also set that up a couple weeks ago with the 50th win match where Deeb beat Sheeta and broke the award and everything else, so they broke the award and then they got it fixed. But you had that coming into their match now, and then they had their match, and you saw Deeb take Sheeta out afterwards, which then leads into what's Ruby or how Sheeta going to be able to perform against Nyla,
who Sheeta beat to take the title.
Right. So there's history there that you can call back to. The only first round match that really doesn't have any story is Red Velvet and Bunny.
And you got some of that from the Ford and Soho match whenever they were ganging up on Soho and Red Velvet came out for the save. So
there's a little bit there, but that's the weak out of the first round matchups. That's the weakest from a storyline point going into it. Anna Jay and Jamie Hayter have been going at it back and forth for weeks. You had Anna Jay and Britt wrestle, and Jamie Hayter and Rebel, not Reba, beat her down afterwards to set up Tay coming in, which is challenging Britt at Full Gear. So there's story there in the first round match. So you didn't just have names in a bracket. So you're just nodding your head like you don't buy any of it. like I'm just.
I mean, from day one, you're comparing the TBS to the Queen of the Ring.
I'm comparing tournament versus tournament.
You can't compare tournament for a title versus tournament for the title.
That's not what you said last week. That's not what you said last week.
What did I say last week?
You did, because I said that last week. I said there were stakes involved. It's for the TBS title, and you said there weren't stakes with the Queen's crown. And I made the joke. Oh, you're talking about a crown and a scepter, and you put on your cape. You put on your cape. So you're countering your own argument from last week.
But you're putting them on the same level.
You said after we had that argument last week, you said compare the two. I said I'm gonna let this tournament play out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll tear it down where it needs to be teared down. I'll give them props where they need to give props, and then I'll grade each one and say which one was better. I said from the door the TBS title tournament was gonna be better.
Look at the competitors.
You're naming all my points that I brought up last week and that I've been harking on. Like, why can't they do that in WWE?
Because you're not gonna put the big four in the big 5, 6 in a Queen of the Ring tournament.
Why not?
They could have.
No, you're not gonna put them in.
I understand maybe not having your champions. Okay, I can get that. Like, you don't need Britt Baker in this tournament, so you're not going to have Charlotte or you're not going to have Becky. I get that. Bailey's out hurt, Asuka's out hurt, so that takes those two out of the equation.
You will put
Sasha. So you're left with Sasha.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
And who you gonna build?
That should have been Liv.
The whole point.
The one person.
That's the whole point, Jay. That's the whole point. You are like, You know what I did?
I told you from the beginning. You can't build anybody from this tournament except for Liv.
You know what this conversation is? I don't know if you remember years ago, Dane Cook had a stand up, right? When Dane Cook was like the hottest comedian ever. And he talked about arguing with his girlfriend. And he talked about her being a mind ninja and just mind fucking him, where she would plant a seed in his mind and it would sit there and it would build and it would grow. And then like 3 weeks later, that seed would sprout and he'd go off and this and that. And she would just look at him like, uh-huh. And then the light bulb would go off and go, oh, you mind fucked me 3 weeks ago. Hey, everything that I've been saying for weeks about the Queen's Crown tournament, Jay, you're giving to me today. You're building my case for me.
No,
you're saying everything that I've been saying.
But I was never high on the Queen's tournament or the King of the Ring.
The point is
because you were bashing it
because it deserved to be bashed. If you're going to hype it up as the first time ever,
you're not putting on you.
Why roll out the garbage that you rolled out? You didn't even give your women a chance. Didn't even give them a chance.
They gave the man had been the first King of the Ring tournament. Bret Hart won. He was a name then.
Brock Lesnar won King of the Ring. Booker T won King of the Ring. Stone Cold won King of the Ring.
Who were your last? Stone Cold wasn't even a name. Stone Cold couldn't find himself. Stone Cold made himself.
You're talking about it was the most iconic. It was the most iconic promo.
He made himself off of that. He was going in. He wasn't shit. Ringmaster.
No, he had more of a he had more heat.
Going in, he wasn't shit.
He had you
and
could
he not cut that promo, he didn't tell you about shit.
Point is, if you're watching both products, and both products
in the ring against a tournament for a title.
You're making my points.
I'm not, because you're the one I've been comparing the two.
As a viewer, you're not going to watch both tournaments and compare each one to the other. It's a women's tournament that's being hyped up as the first ever Queen's Crown. First time in WWE history. This illustrious 80-year-old company, whatever the case may be. First time ever.
Was Baron Corbin.
First time ever. You're talking about the men. I'm talking about the women.
Your last champion was Baron Corbin.
Talking about the men. I'm talking about the women. This has nothing to do with the King of the Ring.
They're linked.
No, they're not. They're linked in your mind only. Nobody's linking them together but you.
So you want to...
So wait, hold on. Time out. Pause. Before you say that, right? Mm-hmm. You brought up ex-champions in this tournament, right? Deeb's NWA champion. Sheeta was AEW champion.
Yeah.
Nyla was AEW Women's Champion.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no other champions in this match or in this tournament.
No, I was just saying off the match you gave me.
Well, that's the match. I mean, that was the match that went off this week.
Yeah. You know, they all ain't gonna be bangers.
On WWE side,
unless you throw Deeb in there.
On WWE side, you have Shayna was NXT Women's Champion and WWE Women's Tag Team Champion,
and that's the only one.
Carmella was
has legitimate.
Oh,
Carmella was champ.
You talking about legitimate? Okay.
Somebody threw the title on.
Carmella had a decent run with that,
and she was okay.
But I'm just saying, there's two champions.
No, you can't put Deeb on Carmella's level.
Deeb is up there on the upper level.
She's up, yeah. Carmella's not there.
So then, where do you put Sheeta? If Deeb in my eyes right now is like 1A, 1B.
To me, Sheeta's above Carmella.
So Sheeta's above. So would you say
Sheeta's above Carmella?
Would you put Sheeta above everybody that was in that Queen's Crown tournament?
Yes.
Okay. Would you put Ruby?
Even thing.
Would you put Ruby above everybody in that Queen's Crown tournament?
No. I wouldn't.
The only person that I would say that may
Shayna, possibly.
Shayna, possibly.
Yeah.
If you're looking
to get to that level, I think.
Popularity wise, Liv and Ruby are both popular. Mm-hmm. They're both fan favorites. They were together for so long. Like, in ring wise, work wise, Ruby's better. Ruby's better than Liv.
But I think Liv is getting there.
So you would say Ruby and Shayna work weight wise in the ring are equivalent to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have Deeb, you have Sheeta, better than everybody.
Yes.
Queen's Crown. Ruby, the only person on Ruby's level is Shayna.
Possibly, yes.
Thunder Rosa.
She's above. To me, she's up there with Deeb.
Statlander.
Statlander is on her way up there.
Who's better than Statlander from the Queen's Crown? I like Statlander's work more than Shayna's.
Me too.
So then if that's the case, then you'd have Statlander above everybody because Shayna's the top. Shayna would be the top of the Queen's Crown, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we had Deeb, Sheeta, Rosa, Statlander.
Mm-hmm.
4 women, all better than everybody that WWE wrote out there.
But you're not putting. You're
and
not
two of those. How you? I mean, it's not even comparable. The TBS tournament is way better than the Queen's Crown, just by the competitors alone.
Oh, definitely.
So then the tournament match for match wise would be better.
Definitely.
So then why have you been fighting me on this for 2 weeks?
Because you're comparing the two.
Because
you've been comparing the two. It's a Queen of the Ring tournament versus a TBS title tournament. You've been shitting on the ad. You've been shitting
first ever. Queen's Crown first ever. TBS title first ever. Both first evers.
Queen of the Ring. Come on.
Who put? You can make it into something spectacular. You could have made it something special. It's the first ever. But they chose not to. They chose to book it like shit because they don't care about the women's division at all. And that's a lot. You can go back and look at booking from however long you want to go back and look at booking wise. AEW, for only being around for 2 years, has built up a stronger women's division and are giving you more reasons to be invested in their women.
Stronger division? They got a bunch of filler in here. A bunch of filler.
The whole Queen's Crown tournament was filler.
It's filler. Yeah.
So 8 women out of your women's roster is filler. You can't be so top heavy because the scale just tips over. And you're running into that issue now, which is why we talked about last week where you should just combine the women's champions. Nah. You don't have the roster to have a women's champion on both sides and have legitimate people wrestle for the title.
You shouldn't combine.
Or at least combine them.
You said the same thing about the TBS.
Or at least combine them.
That's not splitting the rosters, Jay. It's one roster with 2 titles.
Same amount of people. You got 2 titles, there's 2 titles.
But it's a split roster. You're limiting who you have go after it.
Their problem
if you're weak from the middle down,
their problem is the tag titles. That's the problem.
No, their problem is the women's titles. Period.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We get. You know what we're going to do? We're going to table this till next week. We're going to pull up the Raw women's roster and we're going to pull up the SmackDown women's roster.
It might have to be a special by itself.
We'll
prove
it. We'll prove. We'll get it. We'll get it straightened out.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else from Dynamite on Wednesday?
Mm-mm.
Did you enjoy Fish and Punk? No, that's a no. That's a no.
Yes, for the wrestling. It's just like what I don't know what they're doing with Punk. It just seemed like it seemed like they're just throwing bodies out there for him.
Well, what they did last night, I'm excited for if they go that route.
Yeah. Give him somebody bigger and all that stuff.
Was that Kingston?
Kingston, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It just seemed like they're throwing bodies at him, technical wrestlers, just to get him back in the groove.
Kingston off in that match with Danielson last night. That does nothing for Eddie and your ass.
I don't see how y'all are high on Kingston at all. Other than talking.
I like him on the mic,
that's too much.
I like him on the mic, but
you didn't like that match last night.
I like the match, but I'm just not a big fan of Kingston in the ring.
Can I just say wrestling as a whole this week has been sloppy? The past 2 weeks with all the botches.
Yeah, I from what we saw TV wise, yeah. I'm Bound for Glory. That was, I think that was solid, top to bottom. Okay. Would you think of the costume match?
That was a Super Elite in Dark Order. It was a typical match, but just costumes on. I hate costume matches. I mean, I call WWE out on them. I got to call AEW out on them. Dumbass shit.
I heard the networks got involved and changed their plan.
Yeah, the elite wanted to wear Squid Game costumes, and TNT said no because it's
Netflix.
Because of Netflix, yeah.
Here we go.
So, I mean, hey, I'm not going to shit on them for that. Like, you don't want, you know what I mean? You don't want to promote that. Like, if that's not,
I can see that. Yeah, that's a different network.
Yeah.
So.
I was thinking it more. I was thinking it more from the standpoint of Squid Games and like what actually went on in Squid Games.
Okay.
No,
you know what I mean?
I never
like if you pull up Netflix and you look at Squid Games and then it's rated R and it's nudity, sex, something else, suicide, like, and my daughter was like, let's watch this, and I'm like, no. She's like, why not? I'm like, you're 11. You don't need to be watching this. Like, so that's where I thought they were coming from the network side until it came out, regarding Netflix
in general.
Yeah. So all right. Last night, real quick, I'll just touch on this because we got to get into ROH. So.
I didn't buy a green screen or I would have done it.
That's funny. So last night, the only thing I'll say from SmackDown is, man, you miss Roman Reigns' presence on that show.
I agree. It was a
very, very, very much.
It was a basic show.
Like, yeah, you take him off and it is like, whoa.
I enjoyed the New Day and the Usos, but everything else was.
Pat McAfee again for me was the star of the show. So he said to fornicate your carpet and your jaw. And then what was the other line? Oh, when was it Boogs that had the pumpkin shoved on his head? He was like, he was like almost in tears. He's like, it's so dark in there. There's not a candle lit. You could hear Michael Cole like trying not to laugh. Like, so I don't know if Pat was trying to pop him live on the air or what, but
that's like when Brock was wrecking around the ring and Boogs was over there. He's like, no, Boogs is over there. Get him up.
Tremendous. But yeah, Roman's presence last night for me was missed. Rampage. It's an exciting hour of pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. I dug Kingston and Bryan. I thought Sydal and Martin did a hell of a job of keeping the crowd up based off of how hot the crowd was for Kingston and Bryan. It wasn't just like a complete lull, flatline crowd not involved at all. I thought they did a great job with that. And then the trick or treat street fight match was what it was.
The third trick or treat street fight this week.
Everybody's doing it, man. Like it's across the board in every promotion. Like it is what it is at this point. You can't praise one and shit on the others. It is what it is. Like, so yeah, I'm not gonna say that from that standpoint. But Abaddon, like, she's so different. Rampage, okay. From bell to bell, I mean, for the hour because it's so jam packed, I think. With Danielson and Kingston being so strong, as well as Sydal and Martin, you can say what you want about the trick or treat fight. But yeah, I mean that's not it's hard because Rampage is an hour, so it's going to be fast paced. But they advanced stuff. Like I thought it was a good showing for them last night. Yeah, so there's that, and then Abaddon, man, like she's so different. Like you can really do something with her. I don't know where you go or how you do it or what, but like it's so outside the box. I'm completely intrigued by it just because of outside the box it is. The presentation, the wrestling, the moveset, the no selling, like she's 1000% bought into being that character and making it a character that like people are like, oh shit, like you kind of look, you know what I mean? Like it's, what the hell is that coming out? You know what I mean? Like, because you never seen it.
Not how they squandered Chin Chi.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, with that. All right, so then let's get into ROH real quick here and break this down as best we can, or at least give our thoughts on it. ROH came out this week and announced that they'll be shutting down operations with the expectations that they'll be back in April of 2022 with a new revamped, repackaged version of ROH. They will have a show in December. Death Before Dishonors in December, and then final battles like so they'll have that show. No TV tapings or nothing after that. They released their entire roster this week. However, they did say that they will pay their contracts. If you had a contract through December 31st, you'll get paid through the 31st. If you had one that was after the 31st, I believe they said they would honor that and pay that up until April. But they let them go out and sign wherever they want and everything else and get bookings right away. Throughout the entire pandemic, they didn't release one wrestler, even though they were off TV for a really long time. I think they came back with the Pure tournament in August. So they were off a really long time. But didn't release one wrestler, paid everybody every week, not one check bounced. So like from that standpoint, people were saying, how can you do this to the wrestlers? You blindsided them and everything else. And it's like, okay, yes, you're correct in that standpoint, but they've paid everybody for 18 months without them doing anything.
Yeah.
And they're honoring their contracts through. So it's not like, hey, you're released today, we're not paying you no longer.
Yeah.
So they're still taking care of the talent, and they let them go out and do whatever they want.
Yeah, gave them their freedom.
Gave them their freedom. Didn't have one. not one compete clause. Yeah, on their dime. So from that standpoint, you can't but say, hey, I don't want to say kudos, but like you're doing the boys and girls right. Like I can't think of another promotion that has done that.
No.
You know what I mean? WWE. Look at how many people WWE released.
And they paid them.
Who? WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah, they paid them, but they still had to wait their 90 days. They couldn't go right out right now and jump in the ring.
But you're getting paid. And you can talk
for those. You're getting paid for those 90 days because it's a non-compete.
And you can talk to people.
No, you're not allowed to talk to anybody.
No, you're not allowed to talk to nobody.
No, you're not. That's why it's a 90-day non-compete. You're not allowed to talk.
But everybody's got somewhere signed the next day.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk, but come on now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like college players taking money. Come on now.
No.
You know that. Yeah, you're not supposed to, but still.
They gonna talk. So you're good. I don't see the problem.
No, but I'm just saying that, Ring of Honor just getting paid and they're just jumping in the ring the next day. Like they could do that.
They're still getting paid. They can be booked on Dynamite on Wednesday. They're still getting paid by ROH through December.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't release Ring of Honor. They didn't release one person.
But how do you vilify one and not the other?
WWE is a multi-billion-dollar worldwide corporation, and you're releasing people left and right due to budget cuts. But Sinclair can continue to pay ROH for 18 months while they sit at home and not work because of a pandemic. So who's doing more? Who's doing more by their talent?
But you're getting
Who's
paid,
more right in that situation?
You're getting paid. You're getting paid, right? When WWE lets you go, you get paid, right?
Potentially, I don't know that.
They get paid. They get paid until their complete clause is up.
Maybe we don't know that.
They do get paid. WWE take care of them.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have a WWE contract. I don't know.
They revamp your whole Ross. You want to revamp your whole thing and turn it into what? Independent.
When I got laid off from Bank of America, they only paid me my severance for my time accrued based on how many years I worked at the company. Even though I was laid off and not, so I only got paid based off on how many years I worked for the company.
WWE pays you to the end of your contract, to the end of your compete clause.
You don't know that.
They do.
That could be the case, but you never know.
Come on now.
I'm just saying. You don't know. So again, you're still flying the flag for WWE people during a global pandemic. You're saying that they did more right by their talent than ROH did during the pandemic.
They did just as much right.
No, they didn't.
Was ROH still open?
No, they didn't.
Was ROH still in business?
During the pandemic?
Shows, but they were still up and running.
During the pandemic?
Uh-huh.
No, they sat their talent home and didn't put them in the situation of going out in a global pandemic as far as catching a disease that was widespread around the globe. And they said, no, your safety, stay at home, we'll pay you.
But they're still a business. They were still open, and they paid them.
They released nobody, Jay. So how can you say a company that released people did just as much for a company that didn't release anybody? That to me makes no sense.
Because they just released everybody. The whole damn roster. Then you're going to revamp to a 2.0. But we're not going to shit on that either.
Well, they're not calling it ROH 2.0.
You're going to independent only.
Where'd you see that at? I didn't see that on any of the reports this week.
I seen they were going to an independent wrestlers like coming in.
They were already independent only. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm probably not signed the contracts. I will find the article for you when we log off. I got fingers.
This guy, the fucking blind allegiance to the WWE is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So Bully Ray was talking about this on Busted Open, and Bully was with ROH for a really long time and knew the inner workings, the higher ups, and everything else. And Bully was brutally honest on the show. What was it? When was the announcement made? Tuesday?
So.
I don't remember.
Or Wednesday. Wednesday. It was made Wednesday because I was watching Fish versus Punk, and all I kept thinking about was ROH, seeing them two in the ring on Dynamite. So Thursday show, he was brutally honest with everything. He said to him, this closing of the doors on this version of Ring of Honor, the first domino that fell that led to this was All Out. And he said that because that time he was asked by upper management, what do we need to do? And he said, you need to sign the Bucks and Cody and sign them, give them whatever they want, and make them your staples of your organization. Ring of Honor didn't do that. Ring of Honor let them run all out using their production trucks, using their people and everything else, and used a lot of funding from ROH to put that show on. But ROH didn't fight for, hey, why don't you put All Out and have ROH somewhere in the title or on the marquee or given credit for anything. It was the Bucks and Cody putting on All Out. Right? So Bully said that's the first domino. Right? So you have that fall. You have them run Madison Square Garden with New Japan, sell out Madison Square Garden during WrestleMania. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that ROH sold out the Garden themselves? No, because they were partnered with New Japan. But you had a sellout, right? There was no plan after that show to capitalize on any of that momentum. There was nothing done. Nobody was promoted. Nothing was out there. No social media blitz. No articles. No radio interviews. Nothing, right? So then another missed opportunity. Then you sign Marty Scurll, which was like the only big one left after everybody bounced to AEW. You sign him to that big deal. You give him, you make him head booker and everything else and all that. And then Scurll gets into all his shit.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another missed opportunity. You banked on the wrong person, yada, yada, yada. And you can't blame them for signing Scurll to that at the time. Like he was one of the hottest wrestlers in wrestling. Like they weren't aware of all the other bullshit that was going on with him. So again, another thing. You know what I mean? So like these dominoes just came up and kept falling and falling and falling. And then when you do come back to TV, you run this pure tournament, which is like, the wrestlers wrestling of wrestling. There's no promotion for it. There were matches in that tournament that to me, like, argued could be in the matches of the year, but there was nothing said about it. No promotion. When's the last time you see Ring of Honor tweet something out? When's the last time you seen Ring of Honor promote something on TV?
Watching Raw. Before Raw. I think that they get that commercial right before Raw comes in, and that's the only time I see it.
And then it's only on Sinclair. And while Sinclair is it does have TV, but it's syndicated. Mm-hmm. So it's only shown in certain markets. Mm-hmm. And in others, it's not even shown consistently. So here in Pittsburgh, we would get Ring of Honor every Saturday at 4:00.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But that week's show would air, I think it was Tuesday night in Chicago. So it was already behind. Right? So if people are watching it, they're not even watching it live
the right weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're behind in how people are viewing the show. And then most recently, you go into the old ECW arena. MLW runs it. They do 1,000 people for Battle Riot. Right? Ring of Honor's in there. They had 300 people. But nobody knew Ring of Honor was there. Why? Because there's no promotion. There's no advertising. There's no getting the word out there. There's nothing. And Bully's main point in listing all these things and rattling all this stuff off is that Sinclair didn't view Ring of Honor like Vince McMahon views the WWE, or Tony Khan views AEW, or Billy Corgan views the NWA, and even Scott D'Amore to a lesser degree with Impact. To Sinclair, it's just a black or red figure.
So who runs ROH?
So Sinclair Broadcasting owns them. I believe Joe Koff was the one that was running it, so to speak, as far as operations and day to day and whatnot.
So everything comes through Sinclair, though.
Yeah, Sinclair's the money. Sinclair Broadcasting is the one that owns everything, right?
So they were like how Time Warner was with WCW at the end.
Essentially, yes. So Sean Ross Sapp tweeted out, Joe Koff told the talent he had multiple meetings trying to fight for Ring of Honor, but ultimately Sinclair was the one that made the call to end it and release everybody. Talent was told there was some type of TV show that would be in place after Final Battle in April, but weren't told what that would be or how it would look. So my thing is you're going away, you're taking a hiatus, you're doing this thing, right? You're going to get back in the lab, you're going to reimagine, you're going to reinvent, you're going to come out and you're going to put out this new ROH version of Ring of Honor in April, right? What are you going to do now from now until April to keep Ring of Honor relevant? Because if you don't do anything to keep ROH's name out there, then how are you going to expect people to show up in April to see what this new version of Ring of Honor looks like?
Very true.
I seen a tweet about the women of wrestling being signed to St. Clair.
The Wow?
Yeah.
I thought that's on CBS.
CBS?
Isn't that what Tessa Blanchard and them are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on CBS.
Oh, that's CBS?
That's what Jeannie Buss from the Lakers and that.
Okay.
She bought into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be on CBS. So there, I mean, even there you go with that on CBS. Like, what's your TV deal going to look like when you come back in April? Are you even going to be on TV? Is it going to be internet only, streaming only? Like, are you just going to do a Twitch stream? Are you just going to have a YouTube page like NWA had before they got on Fight? But what are you going to do along the way to let the fans know, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. Come back in April. You'll want to be here. You want to be back for the resurrection of Ring of Honor.
That can't be it.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway from me. You want to revamp it and you want to make the call and everything else, okay, I get it. I see it, right? But at the end of the day, what are you going to do in these next 4 to 6 months
to keep the name out there? Because 4 to 6 months in the wrestling world might as well be 5 to 10 years. Out of sight, out of mind. Hell, you were out of sight, out of mind for the majority of the time now because you didn't promote anything. That's my take on it. You got to be able to promote and get the name out there to get people interested to want to come back and see Ring of Honor. And to wrap it up, the only talent that I see that should go to AEW are the Briscoes. Give me the Briscoes versus FTR. Give me the Briscoes versus Santana Ortiz. Give me the Briscoes versus the Lucha Brothers. Give me the Briscoes versus the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm.
Other than that, not saying that other talent aren't worthy of WWE or AEW, but other than that, like I want other talent there to go, go to NWA, go to MLW, go to Impact.
Mm-hmm.
New Japan.
You give me Jonathan Gresham. Give me Gresham versus Danielson. Give me Gresham versus Omega. Put Gresham in New Japan and give me Gresham versus Ospreay. Or Gresham versus Jay White. Gresham versus Okada. Hell, he just wrestled Suzuki a couple weeks ago. Like, there's talent there that can get over, but like, I don't need to see
everybody
7 names
in
from Ring of Honor signed with AEW or WWE.
No.
To me, both of those rosters are
too filled. Yeah, they're too filled. Way too filled.
But the Briscoes are the ones that I would say no. AEW sign them immediately. So there's that. So with that being said, anybody got anything else in Bell to Bell? I know we went long today, but there was a lot to get into. Good conversation here. All right. With that being said, let's crack open a beer. What?
Chug, 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 chug.
Donald was quick on the trigger, just like Chris. Good job, Donald.
Hey, you got your one in, so we're good.
What's the matter, Jay?
Shit stinks, man.
Kind of like your wrestling takes.
I'm not a beer or a pumpkin guy.
This week, since we are, Halloween's tomorrow, I decided to do Tröegs Master of Pumpkins. It's an ale brewed with Pennsylvania pumpkins and spices. It only comes out once a year, and it is 7.5% alcohol by volume.
It's the beer of basic bitches.
I got Chris's thing too, his rating.
Oh, smell the pumpkin there.
He's tuning in. Tell him to type it, Chris.
He said do it himself.
So this has so it's brewed with Pennsylvania pumpkins. The type of yeast they're using is house wit. I don't know what that means from a brewing standpoint. Spices are cinnamon, clove, ginger, and nutmeg. I dig this. It's not my favorite from a pumpkin beer standpoint. Still, Wild Hog still is the number one for me.
Wild Hog.
Tröegs has their different seasonal stuff. I saw Mad Elf is out in the stores. That's like the big one that they come out with once a year. But they're getting more stuff out there. I'll give this a solid 3.75. Jay?
I give the can a 3 and the beer a 1.
No, that's not the ratings. What are your ratings?
Oh,
will I drink it again or not drink it again? That's what we came about last week.
I can't even get a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Nope. He said no. I'll give it a 2. And Chris gave it a 1. He said it was a complete hit or miss. I mean, swing and a miss. Complete swing and a miss. 1.
Wow. I thought he would have been a little higher on this than that. Okay. So I'm the only one here that digs the Tröegs. All right. Well, that was the review of Tröegs Masters of Pumpkin. If you're out and about, you can still pick this up. It is still out there and available. It will be gone soon, and then you won't be able to get it until Halloween time next year. So scoop it up while you can. If not, you're going to have to wait a year to try this beer. Say that 5 times fast.
3-1. Y'all get the vote. Does Steve get to stop buying picking beer from now on?
Oh, this is way better than that. This is way better than that
trio
and that fucking 50 punch you had. All right. So with that being said, raise your bottles, cans, brown paper bags, red and blue solo cups, and to good ships and wood ships and ships that sail the seas. The best ships are friendships, and friends will always be.
Salute.
All right, this week in sports again, heavily football based. It's Statement Saturday in college football, or as they're labeling it, Statement Saturday. Florida versus Georgia. Pitt plays Miami. Michigan State, Michigan. Ohio State, Penn State. And those are probably the 4 games that I'm most interested in. Maybe Auburn, Ole Miss later on, just for something to watch. But yeah, so Pitt pulled off the win last week against Clemson. This was that stretch: Virginia Tech, Clemson, Miami, to see whether or not Pitt was going to be the real deal. Hopefully, they don't have a letdown today. But as a Pitt fan, you always got to ask, when's Pitt going to Pitt? So we'll see.
Can they do it?
Can they do it? Can they pull it off? Yeah. But yeah, that's the slate in college football. Probably the game that I'm most interested in outside of the Pitt game would be Michigan State.
And right now, Michigan is up 10-7.
There you go.
Beginning of the second quarter.
Harbaugh has not been able to beat Michigan State and Ohio State. They had the punt return block for the touchdown whenever they were, that's all they had to do. Yeah. Took it off his foot, basically. I mean, yeah. So I know Michigan looks at Michigan State as the little brother, but Michigan State has held their own since Harbaugh's been there. And Mel Tucker's a really good coach. Expect his name to be floated around for some of these other jobs like LSU and USC. Yeah. No, don't even go there. We were not even going there with Tomlin. Okay. Not even going to entertain it. Well, since you brought that up, Jay, let's hop into NFL, right? Steelers Browns week. Pivotal AFC North matchup. Not saying that the loser of this game is out of the AFC North, so to speak, but the way the Bengals smacked around the Ravens last week, it's going to be an uphill climb. Chubb is back for the Browns. Baker Mayfield will play. He got suited up with a special harness for his shoulder. I just need TJ Watt to hit him and run him into the ground once, and I think that'll be it. Yeah. Clowney, I believe, is out. OBJ is probably out. No Hunt, but Chubb is back. We'll see how he is with his calf. If he can go the full game. Steeler wise, listen, this game is going to be one offense and defensive line.
Oh, always.
It's just plain and simple. I mean, I know that's what football basically boils down to, but in this matchup, it's really that simple. Are the Steelers going to be able to stop the run at all? And are they going to be able to do anything on offense? Whether it's protecting Ben or running the football with Najee.
They've been kind of suspect against the run. Real suspect.
Yeah. So Cam Hayward is balling out of his mind, but he's going to need some help here. He's going to need Wormley to step up. Some of those other guys, a lot of
somebody.
Yeah, Isaiah Buggs, like he's going to need somebody to step up, especially because Alualu's out and Tuitt's out. So that D line that's looked a little shaky in the second half against Seattle and let Alex Collins run all over him.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the matchup tomorrow in the NFL. I really didn't. I mean, there's some other decent games. Saints Bucks is okay. Packers and Cardinals played Thursday night. That was the big matchup this week. Packers went into Arizona and got a win. Kyler got hurt. That fucking sucks for my fantasy football team. I don't know. Hopefully he can come back. He might be out a little bit. I'm hoping not. But he only got me 8 points this week, so I need a fantasy miracle from the fantasy gods. I've been praying in them since Thursday night. Major League Baseball World Series, Braves won last night. Had a 2-hit shutout, I believe it was. First time in, I want to say, like 20-some years that a team's been shut out in the World Series. May even been longer than that.
That's shocking.
Yeah. So there's that. NBA basketball, I don't pay attention to that until after football's over with. UFC 267, like I said earlier in the show, that's on now on free on ESPN Plus, so tune in for that. I'm really looking forward to Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen. That's the co-main event. Teixeira and I'm going to mispronounce Blazovic or Blazevich. I'm going to mispronounce that. That's going to be a banger too for the light heavyweight title. But I'm really interested in Jan and Sandhagen. Jay, I know you brought up Carly Lloyd. She had her final U.S. women's national match.
Moment.
She had her moment there. I thought I saved. Here we go. Carly Lloyd. She had 316 national caps, 134 goals, and 64 assists.
Bravo.
And that's just on the national stage.
The bravo.
One of the best women's soccer players U.S. soccer has seen, and there's been a lot of them. You can run down the list, but rightfully so, getting her flowers.
Her performance in the World Cup final against Japan that one year, where she scored like 3 goals in like 10 minutes, was unbelievable. And that one that was from like half field.
Yeah, kudos to her. Shout out to her. Getting her flowers as she's getting her victory tour and lap, so to speak.
Shohei, didn't he?
Shohei got named Offensive Player of the Year, Most Outstanding Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. Listen, if he's not the unanimous MVP, fucking baseball stinks. Bryce Harper won it in the National League. Shohei won it in the American League. But yeah, if he's not a unanimous MVP, then what are we doing in baseball? Yeah, the man had a year that's never been seen in all of Major League Baseball history.
No,
never
brought life back to the sport for a little bit.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Got me to tune into some games
in the forefront, the complete forefront.
Yeah, so there's that. Oh, and since we're on baseball, PETA. PETA, no, it's real. It's 100% real. PETA wants Major League Baseball to change the name from the bullpen, where the pitchers warm up at, from the bullpen to the arm barn. And that's ARMBARN. Arm barn.
I like the arm barn, but
is the name offensive?
How do you get to change the name? It's offensive to Bulls, my man.
Don't we got anything other to deal with in this country except for a bullpen?
So PETA is pitching a proposal to the baseball world. Strike out the word bullpen, which references the holding area where terrified bulls are kept before slaughter, in favor of a more modern term, animal-friendly term. PETA's suggestion is the arm barn.
How do you get to suggest a name? I'm a rail against this name and then suggest one for you.
Look, I am by no means I have dogs. I'm an animal guy. I've had cats and dogs growing up. I don't give a damn. Cruelty to animals is something that obviously should be taken seriously, and I don't support that in any way. However, I think this and this isn't just with PETA and baseball. I mean, you've seen this across the board in everything nowadays. Some things are just called some things. How
about you change the name to bullpens to something else?
I'm just gonna keep my opinion to myself because I love this podcast.
I'm just saying, there was this argument whenever baseball had to change the disabled list to the injured list because the disabled list was offensive. And I'm not saying people with disabilities like that, but if you're hurt, you're not able to play, so you're disabled.
That's the English term.
Yes, that's yes. So I mean, yeah, but I like
the podcast.
I mean, we still have the Braves in the World Series, so
and the Tomahawk Chop, so whatever.
And I see the Guardians are being sued by a roller derby team over the name.
Over the name.
Everybody just be the no names.
Cleveland
no names.
roller derby.
It's gonna be the Cleveland red, white, and blues. Like, and then somebody will find out.
Yeah, that's my national.
Even though that's the color of their uniforms. Like,
again, there's other problems that need addressed.
So that was. I figured I'd bring that up here to wrap up this week in sports.
All right, let's move on to the world-renowned, world-famous One Gotta Go.
You doing the intros too?
Yeah, of course, I'm doing everything, baby. Kevin Dunn, baby.
All right, so Donald, if you want to pull it up, I'll prop up the reasoning behind this week's One Gotta Go, since it was my choice this week. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Get that freeze.
Oh no, the boom.
Oh, it's slow. There it is.
Yeah.
All right, so this week's One Gotta Go. Sticking with Halloween being tomorrow. I know we've had a month long of Halloween esque One Gotta Goes, and we've done the movie, so on and so forth. So for this one, I took it a little differently. I went with Halloween traditions. Okay. So these are what I think are the main things that you do Halloween time as a family, whatever, friends. And one of these got to go. So we got going to haunted houses / hay rides, going to the pumpkin patch / apple picking, carving pumpkins, and what Halloween is all about, going trick-or-treating. So out of this list, gentlemen, what do you say has to go?
If anybody knows me, haunted house is staying. I'm a haunted house fanatic, so that's definitely staying. Trick or treating, again, like what Steve said, that's tradition. That's what Halloween is all about. Never been to a pumpkin patch or did apple picking, but I'll keep that. But carving pumpkins, yeah, I hate digging out all those stupid insides, guts, seeds.
The pumpkin seeds, man. Like you don't clean seeds. All them out, wash them off, and then make pumpkin seeds.
Man, I did it 1 year as a kid, add
some Lowry seasoned salt in them pumpkin seeds and bake them off, man.
Nah, I did it 1 year as a kid and did not like it. Took too much time, so carving pumpkins got to go.
Unpopular opinion: Halloween is trash altogether.
You wait until the day before to bring that up?
Yeah. I've done a limited amount of everything on here. Trick-or-treating, you get candy, so that stays. Carving pumpkins, I'm artistic. I usually get kicked out for being too good, but that stays. Pumpkin patch picking. They got donuts there, and those are like a delight. That's cordials. So haunted house, hay rides,
you got the donuts, you got the apple cider. A lot of places now have food trucks there. So
you got food. I'm there. Haunted houses, hay rides, trash, terrible, not scary, whatever. It's all too much pomp and circumstance. It's terrible. Get it out of here.
I'm not going for me personally. I'm not going for the thrill. I'm going to see like the costumes and everything.
And they're
more into that.
They're trash. If you ain't giving me Steven Spielberg quality, get out of here.
If you don't have the heart palpitations in the sweats, like there's no
the actual movie set scare me.
What did Chris chime in with, Donald?
He said pumpkin patch and apple picking.
Oh, you guys
gotta go.
So Jay, I'm surprised you didn't say that one, given the fact that all Threeans are single and going to the pumpkin patch and apple picking is more of a family thing.
You go as a family. See, I go as a family.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So then, I mean, you got your nephew in that. So like I could see maybe, with Donald and Chris doing that. And you don't need to go to the pumpkin patch to buy pumpkins anymore. You can go to Giant Eagle or Lowe's and pick up pumpkins. So you can still carve pumpkins without going to the pumpkin patch or apple picking.
You put hay rides on there, and that's at the pumpkin patch. Goddamn.
Well, no. That was haunted houses / haunted hay rides. That's what that was. Not a hay ride in general. It was the haunted theme of both. With that, so for me for this list, I'm gonna go with carving pumpkins, and that's only because I am terrible at carving pumpkins. I don't mind digging out the stuff and washing them off and making the pumpkin seeds and all that. I don't mind doing all that. Sometimes you don't even do that. You just get a marker and draw with a stencil on the pumpkin itself.
Yep.
Even that I can't do right. But carving pumpkins, I'm terrible. Like, I'll never forget, we were carving pumpkins at my brother's house one year, and I was carving a face, right? And I'm carving and I'm doing all my thing, right? You know what I mean? I'm going around. And next thing I know, I went to get the knife to put the knife in to start doing the eyes. And somehow or another, I didn't realize I made an entire circle and just cut out a circle, and the whole front side of the pumpkin just fell in. So then I had to get a drill and screws to screw.
See, that's too much.
The circle that I cut out to screw back in, so that I was able to actually carve the eyes and the nose and the mouth and all that. But yeah, so I'm terrible at carving pumpkins. I absolutely suck at it. Yeah, art is not my thing. So with that, I'm going to say C, carving pumpkins. So that is the Halloween Traditions edition of One Gotta Go. Hit us up on social media. Let us know which one you think got to go from this list. I'm sure Donald and Chris will run their pools out there. I don't know if you guys will run a pool. Can you run a pool before Halloween tomorrow night, Donald? Set one up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
run it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I know we normally run the pools, throughout the week, and we can keep it up for the week, but I'm just curious to see what people would say before Halloween trick-or-treating tomorrow night. Hey, all you Scrooge McDucks out there, don't give fruit away for freaking Halloween, okay?
Give Nick away for
damn candy, all right?
Or a penny. You used to get pennies too.
Yeah, give candy. Stay safe. Parents, don't just pay attention to your kid. Keep an eye out for other kids as well. If you're driving around with your kids, or just being on the street, walking around, drivers, keep it to 5 miles an hour while you're going through the neighborhood. Okay, we don't need people flying around the streets either. And other than that, man, just enjoy the night. Let the kids be kids. Let them eat some candy, have some fun. They've been through a rough 2 years here with this COVID pandemic. Let them get out and enjoy themselves for a little bit.
Lights will be out.
Oh yeah. And then also, if you see teenagers trick or treating, just give them something too, because they chose to be in childhood except being violent.
Yeah.
And give me all your Reese's.
No, why wasn't that on the Smash or Trash? The Reese's snack cakes. Why didn't you bring that up?
Because they've been out for a while. They were trash.
That's
they've been out for like 2 years. Yeah,
so that's one got to go this week. Play along. Let's know which one got to go. And with that being said, let's get into some final thoughts. All right, so that's the show this week. One gotta go. As always, follow us along on social media, Facebook /Meta, Twitter, Instagram. Head on over to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/DubMarksPod. Pick up some merch, support the show. We'll give you a shout out live on air. We appreciate everybody that does that. Email the show, dubmarkspod@gmail.com. Questions, concerns, criticism, whatever, hate emails, we don't care. Send them in. We'll read them off on air and comment on them. You guys send them in. With that, what do you guys got final thoughts wise?
I was in DC over the weekend, over the end of the week, and we went to see the monuments at night. Beautiful, kind of romantic. So we were walking down along the path towards the Martin Luther King setup memorial, yeah. And it was like they had kids tours at night. I don't know why. There was like 8 buses, kids, 8 o'clock. It's dark. They're all running past, and my first thought was haunted monument tours. Book it, make it a thing. Wrong place to think about it. Book it though. I just want somebody to jump out and scare the shit out of them kids right at that moment.
I know. My ninth grade class, our trip was to DC. And I absolutely loved it. Like all the stuff we went and saw, everything we went and got to do. There's a bunch there. family wise, great spot to take your kids.
It looks
see
gorgeous
some
at night.
history. Yeah, when stuff's done at night. When we were there, they were remodeling the Washington Monument.
Yeah.
So it wasn't lit up like how you got to see it lit up at night, Jay, because they were doing construction to it and that. So that's one thing we missed out on. But yeah, that trip was memorable for so many ways. But yeah, that was like that was an awesome experience. And got to do so. Yeah. Kudos there.
I just had one thing. The haunted house season this year was ass. It was definitely trash.
Thank you.
In the beginning, it was too hot up here in Pittsburgh. It was like 80 degrees. And the last couple of weeks, it just been nothing but rain. Spoiled everything. How the weekdays get all the nice days and the weekends were just trash.
And that's why one gotta go.
Trash. No.
Haunted houses.
Couple quick hitters for me. One gotta go wrestling wise. New Japan announced this week at their show, their November 13th show, which will be held at San Jose Civic Center. Okada will be in action in the U.S. For the first time in 2 years. He'll be there, and then making his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut, Buddy Matthews, formerly known as Buddy Murphy, will also be there on that show as well. Bo Dallas, Taylor Rotunda will be appearing live at WrestleCade. That's November 26th through the 28th at the Benton Convention Center. So there's that there. Let's see what else. I had a couple other quick things here. Titus O'Neil of the WWE has this week it became official. He has the Thaddeus M. Bullard Academy at Sly Middle Magnet School in Florida. I believe it's in the Tampa Bay area where Titus is from. He does great work in the community, huge humanitarian philanthropist. Fuck it, I can't say it. Doing great things, giving back. I don't want to give him praise because he's a former Florida Gator, and I hate the Gators, but you got to give the man his props. So he has his school out there. The Tom Brady 600 TD ball that Mike Evans gave away to a fan, which was valued somewhere between, I want to say, $250,000 and $500,000, which the fan just happily gave back to the Bucs equipment staff person. He made a deal, worked it out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for him giving the ball back, he's going to get 2 signed jerseys and a helmet from Tom Brady, a signed Mike Evans jersey, and his game cleats, a $1,000 credit at the team store, 2 season passes for the remainder of this season as well as next season. And Brady is giving him his own, his Bitcoin or whatever crypto that Brady's involved with. He's giving him one of those. So I don't know if I'd want all those things or I'd want $500K cash.
Why is it a milestone when you're already at the top?
First person ever in NFL history to throw 600 TD passes.
I mean, he's the first to 599 too.
It's a round number. Like,
I don't get what's your number? You're there.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like every touchdown pass, he's going to throw a record. But like from now,
601 ball.
Well, I mean, this goes back to the same thing with Bonds, right? Like Bonds, every home run he hit after 61 or whatever was the record breaker, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like to have this, what did we finish with that year? 72, I think is finished. I think the final was
73.
73. So like, yeah, do you want the 62nd ball or do you want the 73rd ball?
I want the 70th.
So with this, like, it's 600. It's a round number. Like you have it, but now like the value in the ball, the next ball is going to be the last touchdown pass thrown, whatever number that is. You know what I mean? So yeah, but no, I mean, I'm glad Tampa Bay made it right, and they took care of the guy. So that, and then lastly, final thoughts. JR, good old Jim Ross, AEW and WWE fame, the greatest wrestling announcer that there was. He has come out and announced that he is opening a cannabis farm in Oklahoma. So JR is getting into the weed game. So not only can you buy some delicious barbecue sauces and mustards and seasonings and everything else, you can go get a little stash from good old JR.
Aren't you a little bit too old to be getting into the game, man?
No, you're never too old, Jay. That's the problem. Yeah. You gotta stay young. Doesn't matter.
Come on.
Because he uses it. That's why.
Yeah. So him and his daughter are going in on this venture together. So he's opening with his daughter. So there's that. And he did come out this week as well. He got diagnosed with skin cancer. So, prayers to him. Not sure. I know he had some pictures of it. It looked like it was down around his ankle, and was getting tests running and all that, but it did come back positive for skin cancer. So hopefully, JR can get that taken care of, and stick around still. But JR getting into the weed business would explain why he slips up and calls the GTS GPS.
Mm-hmm. GPS.
Yeah, he called it GPS on Wednesday night.
All right.
I'm not gonna bash JR for that. To me, JR's to the point where like I'm just gonna enjoy you until you're done.
Yeah.
Like, you were there for so many big moments throughout my life from a wrestling standpoint and being a fan, like, do what you want until you ride off into the sunset. I'm not going to be the one to call and clamor for JR to be put out the pasture or anything like that. Like,
I agree.
Yeah. So there's that. All right. Anything else from anybody? No. All right.
I gotta get out of this suit because your boy gotta go to the bathroom, and this is a one piece. Struggling here, man. No hands, no nothing, man.
All right. Well, with that being said, close the show this week. Quote of the week: "Be the chess player, not the chess piece.
Be the board."
You're the board, Jay. You're bored. How MJF says everything's mid. I'm just gonna start calling you bored. All right. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. We appreciate you. Stay safe tomorrow night, trick or treat, and enjoy the time, enjoy the fun. We'll get into the next season of Thanksgiving, which is my favorite time of year, just because I'm a chubby kid and love everything that my wife cooks. So we'll run through that as we get closer to Thanksgiving, and then Allah on the Christmas. So yeah, with that, hey, have fun, dress up with your kids, enjoy the moment, go back to being a kid for a couple hours. It'll do you some good. All right. And with that, I'm a Mark, you're a Mark, tell a Mark. Thanks for tuning in to the Dumb Marks. And until next week, y'all can catch us around the way.